want to know exactly what can come from the pre-scene. I think we were in the page 5 last time.
Right.
And we'll continue from there with the pre-scene.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I think we were up to the page 5. So it's about the key roles in filmmaking. Right. One of the things what it says is that all these actors and all these producers and all these people, they are in some kind of a trade union kind of a thing. It's not exactly a trade union. They are more like SIMA members. They are in a forum. Right? So whenever we are taking the actors and actresses and the directors and screenwriters, you have to get from the guild members, because they are the people who are recognized. So like these doctors and various other professionals, they get into various kind of bodies. That is to make them little bit expensive and to have that collective power of bargaining. And probably these guilds, when these actors are very old, they help them with their welfare and all that. So they pay during their lifetime some membership fees or whatever it may be. So as far as the producers are concerned or the filmmaking industry is concerned, it's always good to go through them. Now, why I see this part has come up in the pre-scene, there may be a kind of a situation where a actor or a director or a script writer outside the guild offering you the services. Maybe at a cheaper rate. And the question may come up, Veena, what shall we do? Shall we take that person because we can take him 20% less than the normal price, or should we, ignore him?
Right.
That kind of a thing. Because they say these guilds have very specific rules concerning the accreditation of producers, directors, screenwriters, and other professions. They require a studio to show the names of those responsible for production in the credits appearing and the end of the film.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I can see something like that happening because, on one side of the story, we want to reduce the cost. Cost is a very important factor in filmmaking because the ultimate revenue, it's always, whatever the show, the revenue is almost same because, there's the crowd of people going to see the film and there are certain number of cinema halls. So the film revenue is almost same whatever the film is. Unless if the film is so bad, you may not get any people coming in to watch the film. Otherwise, in any good film, you will almost have the same kind of a revenue. But the cost can make the difference between making a big profit and a smaller profit or a loss or whatever it may be. So what we saw in the financials the other day, we saw actors and actresses and some of these people's cost us very much. And that is because they are in this guild in the forum.
Right.
And then the other thing what they are talking about is this profit sharing scheme. Now, earlier, almost all the producers, the director, everyone was paid some kind of a fixed fee, and that was the end of the story. But today, they even the actors, they get a sort of a profit sharing. So they have a more keen interest on the success of the film. It's not purely just a question of acting, but if the film is a success, they also will enjoy some profit.
Right. Yeah.
So that may be another area that we may be questioned because there may be a certain actor who wanted to come up on a profit sharing scheme and another one who wants to come up on the fixed salary scheme, and we have to decide between the two alternatives.
Okay.
So we may want to do a kind of a net present value appraisal and see what is best for the company's point of view. Then given a certain big roles. The big role is the producer. He is the ultimate, right, the owner of the film line. He is the main man who is sort of involved in the whole process. from the initial development of the script to the final production distribution, everything is finally the producer. So in this
Right.
case, they say the producer can be an employee of Maintain, producer can be, a complete outsider.
Right.
Independent producers can come to studios with specific ideas that they hope will be put into production. So in other
Right.
words, you
Yeah.
can have their own employees be in production, or maybe outsiders coming up with the ideas, and where you may enter into a contract agreement for that specific film only.
Right. Yeah.
Right, that's all. He does that one, and after that he has no other contract. But then you may have certain problems later on. One thing, he might not do the proper film. Then you might have ended up with cost. There can be legal issues. You remember in the board of directors, they have a legal director, and also they have in the non-executive, there is another legal director. So probably there are a lot of legal matters in these cases, in these contracts involvement.
Right.
So successful producers, whether employed or independent, may command substantial fees because they have a track record of delivering profitable films. So again, just like the actor, the producer matters a lot in the film. You will, before
Right.
watching the film, we want to know whose film is that. If it is coming from a very prominent producer, we might want to go and see the film. Most of this film watching, it happens not purely the film is good or bad, it is purely the names that makes the film a success.
Right.
So the PGP states that in order to earn producer credit, the producer must play a key role in each of the 6 stages of the film production described above. So we remember we went to pre-production, production, post-production, distribution, all that kind of a thing. So that's what the owner of the film is, the producer.
Right.
Then we have a director. Director is the real, like the person who really take the activity by activity. He has the kind of the visualization of the story. He is the man who is the operator of the film. So the producer is the owner of the film, and then the director comes. Sub directors will sort of decide where to locate it, what to do, all that kind of a thing. So they are basically good professionals, and they are famous celebrities in their own right and can command very large rewards from the studio. From all these, what you can see is the names matters a lot. And just because
Right.
the names matters a lot, if one of these people goes and do something crazy, getting involved in some illegal thing or something like that, that can create a big damage on your film.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine one of your actors, key actors, the film is just about to be screened in December. He's caught up for some, some thing like sexual abuse or something like that. It can create a massive impact upon your film, which is totally
Right.
outside your control.
Right. Yeah.
This can be one of the questions, because I think in the films we saw these people like Michael Jackson, they were accused for many things like that. And so that can be, even in India, we see, some of these actors has been arrested, all that kind of a thing. So that can have an impact upon a film, maybe that you have spent all the money, it's just about to be screened, and suddenly you might find one of those people being caught up, and you might be in a situation what to do with that kind of a situation.
Right.
Even your own reputation can be at a stake, because they might say that this company employed so and so, knowing that he has a bad character, knowing that he has some, kind of a situation. Recently we had one of these uh, musician, this Trini Lopez, come in and sing in here. The rehearsal night he was super, but on the day of the live performance he was after alcohol, consumption of alcohol, and he was singing all outside the pitch, and the people were booing, people were totally disappointed, and the organizers of that show were really taken to task by everyone. I don't think they can even
Right.
organize another show of any other, even a better artist, because the people will never want to go with that kind of organizers. But I met these organizers, I asked them, but they said it was totally beyond their control. That man just before the day of the show has gone somewhere, and he was not fit to perform live.
Right.
In films, we may not have that kind of a scenario, but in the films, the behavior of the key people in the society is very crucial. So when we
Right.
sign contracts, we must ensure that we put all the proper code of ethics and all that kind of a thing. But despite all that, there can be situations arising. So we may have to think. I'm thinking of certain mocks in that direction also. We may have to think of, if that happens, what can we do?
Okay. Right.
Something, yeah. Then the screenwriter is the person, he can either take a storybook or a novel, or he can create entirely something completely out of the reality film, and that can be the script for the film. The script matters a lot. Most of the actors will decide whether to act on the film, deciding on the script.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes they will ask for the script and they will say, oh, no, I'm not interested in this kind of a film. Sometimes they may say, okay, I'm interested. So screenwriting is some kind of art. So we have to get the right screenwriter who can do that one. It can be the original work of the author, or something that is very much adapted to the film. Some of these films like these dinosaur and all that, I don't think there were any uh, books or anything. The people have created some kind of a script for that particular film. Right? So one problem we might have in producing a film is that the original script of wherever you have bought it, you may have to make certain changes. Now when you are doing certain changes, you have to consult the original script writer, because it is his script that you have bought it. So if you are going to make any changes, you must consult him. So there can be a dispute if you try to do something on that script without consulting him. Right? So,
Hello.
hello, hello.
Yeah. Sorry.
They went, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right, right. So what I was telling you was about this the screenwriter. He because that is the starting point for the film. Film is based on some kind of a script, so it can be original, it can be something based on a book of a storybook or whatever it may be. Now, if you
Right.
are taking a original, it's all right. But if you are taking it from a script, a writer, a book or something, if you are going, you may have to make certain changes, because the book may be, say, 50 years old, 70 years old. Now to be compatible with the modern society, you may have to make certain changes. But when you make certain changes, you have to consult always the original script writer, and he we may want to do a review, because it is his own script that you are making the film, but you are going to make certain changes, and then the changes must have the consensus agreement of the original the author.
Right.
There
Yeah.
can be again disputes. You can see in India, in most of these countries, there are a lot of disputes. After the film is made, the script writer, the original author might say, this is not my book. you have totally distorted my story. And there
Right.
can be, after spending lot of money, there can be situations where even you can go to courts and the court may ban the screening of the film. These are the
Okay.
risks
Yeah.
in the film industry. Uh, Recently, there was a film done about a real life situation in Sri Lanka about a judge raping a servant girl in the home. It was a real true story, but the, the everyone knew it was that story. But when the film was produced and when everything came for final screening, this particular judge took the matter in the courthouse and got an injunction restraining from showing the film, saying that it is bringing some kind of reputational harm on him. Now the
Right.
producer and the people who have spent all the money will have to wait a long period before the film could be screened because of these kind of situations.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to have
Okay.
very, very close communication with the people concerned, because film is something once you produce, you have spent lot of money. If you can't screen it, or if you can screen it and if there is no people coming up, it can end up with a huge loss.
Yeah.
So the actors, we know actors are basically big names. Their names have to be very familiar, and leading actors are ranked according to, so in your pre-scene you would have seen at the latter stages, they are given the first 10 actors and actresses in this country, right? They are
Right.
given a big detail about 2 or 3 pages. I just did not realize they are given too much of details. So I'm sure they probably have something about those names, about, because they are given certain strengths of some of the people, certain weaknesses of some of the people. Some are very sober, some are very arrogant, some are very cooperative, some are, all sorts of people are there in that thing, because the film actors, actresses are a kind of a different kind of people once they become popular, right? They
Right.
they want
Yeah.
to show their power and ego and all that. They go with so many bodyguards and all that kind of a thing. They get into a totally different social arena after some time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so then they say there are agencies that supply studios with actors for relatively unimportant roles. So actually you remember I told you, out of your actors fees of, in that particular case, one weekend in Moscow, out of 75 million for the actors, the two people, the main two roles, they were getting about 30 million. 40% of the fees goes to the main roles, right? The
Right. Yeah.
other roles are not so important, so sometimes they might outsource that kind of a thing to an agency for them to find out the people. Now that's another dangerous thing. When you select your own actors and actresses, you can screen them and find them whether they are up to any reputational problems, all that, and you can take. But when you outsource and take this other secondary roles, there may be situations there that agency can exploit people, all sorts of things, because the film industry is a very, very, very industry that can create lot of cultural imbalances. Young girls are brought into these things, and then they are up there, they are up to lot of harassments, all that kind of a thing. So it's very common. I mean, in these countries it's very common. These actresses and actresses, they have to to enter into the film industry, they have to give sexual bribes kind of situations, right?
Right.
Not the main people, but the young upcoming people. For them to get into a film, they have to do all sorts of things, whatever the director and the producer says. So I can see lot of ethical problems in this question area. This is what I see as my main focus on this paper this time.
Right.
So actors may have to have addition to audition for more prominent roles, perhaps get involving close-up shots and some dialogue. Actors are represented by agents who negotiate contracts in return to a percentage of their client's earning. So these main actors, they have their agents, also called managers. You can't approach the actor. you have to approach the manager, and the manager or the agent only manages that actor. Right? So
Right. Yeah.
he only will participate, he only will sign the contract, everything. The main actor will never come. He will come only for the shooting and all that kind of a thing. So that's the way it happens. So they are given a percent, the agent will be given a percentage. So there can be a lot of miscommunication between the agent and our maintain company. Finally, the actor may refuse to play that role. He might say or she
Right.
might say, this is not what I, you know, wanted to play, because
Yeah.
these adults only films, so all sorts of things can happen, and there can be many
Mhm.
roles where the final the actress may come and say, no, this is not what I want to play about.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Then we have the musical composer. The musical score is often a major element of enjoyment of a film. Excitement of a car chase may be heightened by the music played in the background. It is often easier to have original music written than to find existing pieces. Some composers specialize in film scores. They can command substantial fees, because ultimately I think that is what makes the difference between watching a film at home and watching a film in the cinema. Yeah, the
Yeah.
sounds, the effect of the sound, the effect of the background music, all that which comes to those, complicated sophisticated sounds, makes a big difference in the for the film and for the viewer, rather than watching it at home.
Right.
I don't know whether I shared with you. One of the things is that in these films nowadays, we have these 3D films and 4D films and all that, right?
Yeah.
In this pre-scene, only at the latter stages in one of the articles, they are talking about the 3D, 4D films, 3D films, but they don't talk about it. But I believe it will be one of the areas. So that's why in my mark, I said about a 4D film. And
Yeah.
the uniqueness of the film now, I think, is producing that kind of a film, right? I think in
Yes.
time to come, it will be all 3Ds and 4D films in time to come. I don't think they will have these normal films. So, but those
Mhm.
have some other problems like this, having that glasses and all that kind of a thing. So there may be new technologies coming up on all that thing.
Right. Yeah.
So the mock that I did, it was all about the special effects, the problems in the special effects. So special effects are basically the creating images or sounds that would be either impossible or costly to do it live. So they are basically computerized computer images. Dinosaurs,
Right.
all those are all not real live ones. They are all computer images. They are very creative ones. Not that everyone can do it. It's an art. It's a technique that has to be done. And you can see they have right at the moment they have 5 films in the
Mm-hmm.
line. For example, a crowd scene that would have required thousands of hectares may be created by using computer-generated imagery, right? So rather than bringing 1,000 people, trying to find 1,000 people, it's much easy for them to do it in the computer, create 1,000 people, and to put it on the film. I remember that when
Right.
Gandhi film was done, I mean, it was live, it was not computer imagery, but they had so many thousands of people in that film. So managing thousands of people is not an easy thing. So now the modern way is to get through the computer imagery. But that's a very
Yeah.
skilled job. And we can see here they are talking about this statement is very important. For example, the following special effects have been budgeted for films that maintain is about to put into production. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films. Dinosaur Crash
Yeah.
80 million, right? So this is the third and the final film in a series. The first were praised realistic special effects. So here we have a new one that is coming up, and we plan to have one scene that will show vast herd of dinosaurs. So it's all computer imagery. Then there's another
Mm.
film, Liner or something, 35 million. You can see big money, poverty row 15 million, special disaster 30 million. This is all what we are going to spend on the special effects.
Right.
Right? So these are all computer CGI means, so you have to now remember this term. in the pre-scene, in the unseen, they might say CGI. So don't try to look at anywhere. When they say CGI, we know it is computer generated imagery.
Yeah.
So they might not give you the name computer generated imagery. They might say CGI because already in the pre-scene, they are given us that wording.
Right.
Then Edit is finally, basically he finally decides, because the film need to be consider the running time. So it should not be too long, it should not be too short. So if it is
Right.
too long also, people will not be interested in watching the film. I remember those days film runs about 4 hours, but now I think it's about 1 hour, 20 minutes, something like that. The film is over. So generally the editor will have to decide where to edit, what to cut and all that kind of a thing, and which angles to take. So this is the editor's job. So again, you can see it's a very skilled job.
Yeah.
And also you can see the last sentence here. Some countries may have a low tolerance of nudity or violence, and the editor may create a censored version accordingly. So the original film may be edited to suit a particular culture. If the same film is going to Middle East, they might edit certain areas of the film,
Mm-hmm.
which they may show in the USA, but when it is being shown in Middle East, they might have to edit it to 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 match the needs of the Middle East countries.
Yeah.
And also, hmm?
Yeah.
And also
So yeah, I just said.
all these films, when it comes to the local body, there is a censorship board, right? Even if it's a Western film, when it comes to Sri Lanka, the censorship board will see the film and will approve the film, or they might say this scene need to be removed, this scene need to be removed because it is not good for to be shown in Sri Lankan culture, right?
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Sri Lanka is a predominantly a Buddhist country, so anything that is going to be sort of having an impact upon the Buddhism or something like that, they might tell that part cannot be shown. So you have to re-edit the film, all that. Now in our country, even in the live shows, they can't show the acts of this cigarette smoking and alcohol consumption. Whenever
Okay.
there is a kind of a thing coming, they have to put up a square kind of a screen and make it censored kind of a thing. So
Okay.
different countries will have different scenarios, particularly if the show is for, now you remember that these films are rated different ways. So if it is rated for family films, they may want to remove some of these romantic scenes and all that kind of a thing, where the children are going to participate and watch the film.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So marketing the film. Marketing the film. Now this is a very important area. Firms can generate revenue for studios for many years. Films can generate for many years. If revenues from DVD and broadcasting royalties and licensing fees for merchandising are taken into account, right? So the film will run maybe for 2 months, 3 months maximum, the film will run. But after that, they can still sell the DVDs and still they can get lot of revenue. And also sometimes they can give royalties. They give the rights to show the film in airlines, and they charge a royalty fees, that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So the film revenue, even though the main box office hit is over, still they can make revenue for many years. I think in the film industry, that is what they call in the non-current assets. They have films in this balance sheet a big amount, and I think that may be the films where they still earn revenue out of various other sources. However, the
Right.
box office figures are the most visible measure of a film's commercial success. In other words, a film's merits are generally related to the number of cinema tickets sold. So, the main stream of revenue is from the number of cinema tickets sold. So, in countries like India and Sri Lanka, I think even in the Western, it is the number of days that the film runs successfully in the film halls, right?
Yeah.
Earlier we had films running for 100 days, 200 days, 300 days, but now I don't think we have that kind of a scenario because there are so many films to come up on the queue. So they will not have it for so many days, but that's the way the film success is measured. Films marketing
Yeah.
can involve a complete mix of elements which can account for more than half of the film production cost. Remember, we saw that one weekend in Moscow, 264 million is the cost of the film production, 180 million advertising. So more than one half of the production cost is on advertising. So advertising is a
Yeah.
big marketing cost, and you can see uh, if you are looking at cost controls, you might want to look at how to minimize the marketing cost without having an impact on the aspects of marketing. So it's common
Mm-hmm.
as much as 90% of this amount to be committed before the film is shown in cinema. Now that's another thing. Out of that 180 million, more than 90% already committed. It's a sunk cost ultimately.
Right.
Ultimately, it's
Yeah.
a sunk cost. Before the film is shown, it's already because the advertising has to happen before the film is shown. Once the film
Mm-hmm.
started moving, the advertising is through word to mouth. You go
Yeah.
and see the film and then you come and say that film is super, then I will go. To create the first initial batch to go and see the film, almost 90% of the advertising is happening there. The balanced advertisement
Right.
happens just to keep the interest picking up, but the film gets the success after once it is screened, it is through word to mouth. When the people goes and
Mm-hmm.
comes and says it's a good film, the others also will go. That kind of a thing. And the papers might put up certain reviews and all that. We will watch those things and decide whether to go for the film.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
difficult to recoup this 90% cost if the film is doing badly. Studios sometimes capitalize on successful releases by increasing their advertising spend. So
Yeah.
the 90% is spent, but sometimes if the film is very successful, they can extend by advertising, they can extend the life period of the film and they can do it. Film studios are
Yeah.
turning to social media. Now, this is a very important one. I think in most of our case study questions, I think the examiner has been touching on the social media, the Facebook and the Twitter and all that, right?
Yeah.
So today, because I think the younger generation, everyone goes to the Facebook for everything. They decide everything on that advertisements, how many likes, how many comments, how many sharing, all that kind of a thing. So you
Mm-hmm.
can create a very interest in the film by posting comments and sharing and all that kind of a thing. You might have a Facebook page for the film where there will be millions of comments coming up. That itself will be the
Mm-hmm.
success.
Right.
Today, almost all these people, if you look at INSEF, I think they have a website. I mean, people look at the number of likes and the comments. I necessarily don't agree, but that's how the popularity is built up today in the modern business world.
Yeah.
Finally, licensing is a major source of revenue, can also be a significant basis for developing awareness. Fast food chains often pay the significant amounts of money to write show images and film names on their packaging, etc. So,
Mm-hmm.
some of the other people uh, can pay something to the film company and take the right to put up all those popular films kind of a thing in their t-shirts and all that kind of a thing, and that way also you can get money.
Yeah.
Some arrangements involve large posters in restaurants. They may also be featured in the restaurant's advertising, thereby creating further publicity at no cost to the studio. So there are many ways of advertising. Some through you saw in that one week in Moscow, out of 180 million, 72 million spent on TV advertisements, which is big significant amount. But there may be a lot of advertising happening free, like putting up posters and all that kind of a thing. You can just put it up and in various restaurants and various public gathering places, and
Mm-hmm.
that can create the necessary awareness.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
this is the film that we were talking about. I think did we discuss this area?
Yes, we have already discussed.
Yeah, we have discussed this area. So this is one. I just want to quickly move into the, we discussed this board of directors and all that, no?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Financials we discussed. We discussed this one also, no? Did we? Press coverage.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't discussed this.
Okay. Did we discuss the SWOT analysis?
We did. Yeah, we discussed the SWOT. We discussed the risk analysis as well.
Okay, right.
But
Okay,
this is
right.
remaining. Yeah.
Now, this is a very important one. Now, you remember you are sitting for the exam in February 2017. This is a newspaper called Business Record on January 10, 2017. They are talking about the film industry. Right?
Yeah.
So this is our country's B-land. B-land cinema attendances continues to rise. So what they say is 1930, 1940, the only form of entertainment was films, and then the televisions came, and then the videos came, and then the film industry completely, dropped it out. But now the opposite is happening. Cinema attendance have recovered, and the video market has fallen as people can now download films from the internet. So people don't go and buy the videos because now straight away you can download it from the internet. So as I said, one way for you to sell your film will be to have a website and to make arrangements for people to download the film, paying the money to the credit card.
Yeah.
That's a new method, and our examiner has been very fond of this channel, website channel, web distribution. So I'm sure there will be a question in one of the variants about opening up a website and getting people to download the film through the website. Now, when you try
Yeah.
to download a film through the website, you have to be extremely careful, because you will have all the details of, say, Veena's credit card numbers, everything will be in the
Yeah.
maintains database. If
Yeah.
they don't protect that one properly with right security, some person can have access to that information, and they might go and download a film and watch it, debit into Veena's credit card account.
Right. Yeah.
And then you will see at the end of the month in the credit card, for the films that you have not seen, that you have been charged.
Yeah.
And you might take up this matter with the film company, and they are not only you, hundreds of people will take, and that can have a massive impact upon your reputation. So you
Yeah.
have to have lot of data protection measures of, particularly if you are going to have a website, the security measures of the website should have to be controlled. It's not only the kind of credit card details, but even about the type of the people who are watching the film. The president of the country, probably that he cannot go to a film hall and watch a film, he might download a film. He's also a man. He might download a film and watch a film at his home with his family, or sometimes maybe alone. But if that confidential information is leaked out to the press media saying that, so and so was watching such and such a kind of a film, it can create a kind of a problem for the entire country. And that can be, these press people are looking for sensational news. They want to know,
Yeah.
they are looking all the time to see the celebrities and the top class politicians, what they are doing every time. Wherever they go, they want to see what these people are doing. So you have to be extremely careful with the confidentiality of the information of your people. So what is
Yeah.
happening now at the moment, although visiting the cinema costs more than downloading a film to watch at home, and evening at the cinema is cheaper than many other forms of entertainment, such as live theater or concerts, visiting the cinema can provide a welcome break from emails, other interruptions, improvements in technology, such as 3D screens. So this is the only point where they are mentioning about the 3D screens,
Right. Yeah.
mean that the visual impact of a film can be much greater in cinema than at home. So this is the
Yeah.
advantage, what I believe the Michael Porter's competitive advantage, the uniqueness, comes through by producing 3D films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I think. This is what the examiner is coming to this point. The 3D films is the way to get people attracted to the cinema, because the home cinema cannot give that 3D effect. So that is one thing that is there. And what you can see, the trend according to them is that the cinema attendance is continuing to rise now in this particular
Right.
country. Overall movie
Yeah.
market has increased, with DVD sales and online film downloads increasing more rapidly than cinema attendance. So we can see
Yeah.
the growth is in the DVD sales, growth is in the online film downloads, and now that last line is a question scenario, because they are definitely going to have film download kind of a film site, and with that the threats, the security shows, how to measure up, because I remember in the PT paper earlier some time back there was a question in the big earlier paper, 25-mark question about a person uh, working in a company. He was asked to work out a database. It was a company that was doing something like this, downloading music and films and all that. And so the customer's credit card details, everything was there. So one particular person, he was asked during the weekend to do this work, and what he did was he took everything into a pen drive, the customer's details, the credit card details, everything, went home and did the work during the weekend, right? And whilst coming back, somehow he lost his pen drive in the train, and finally when he came to office he did not have the pen drive, but he did not think that, he thought whoever who takes the pen drive will delete the data and use the pen drive. So since he had done it at home, he gave a call to one of his friends and told, look here, go to my computer, I have done a report, can you email the report? So that man emailed the report, everything was done, and it was fantastic, no problem. But at the end of the month, the people who had the accounts with this particular company to download music, they started complaining, saying that they have been charged for films and the music which they have not downloaded. One,
Yeah.
two, three,
Okay.
four complaints came, and the management denied it. Management said that, it can never be because our systems are so perfect, this, that, and the other. But when hundreds and hundreds starts coming up, they had to do it. Then this man realized his mistake, and he went and admitted, saying that thing like this happened. So whoever who found that pen drive misused it, abused it, and he started working on that one. So you can see
Yeah.
that kind of a thing can happen, and that can be a massive impact. So how you react for a situation like that? So that was a question in that PT paper some time back. And first of all, the first mistake was allowing the people to take these things home in a pen drive.
Yeah.
So we had to
Right.
have adequate security concern. Second thing was that control environment. It was a sort of a fear psychosis that was there. That man did not want to come and tell that he has lost his this thing, right? If he had told,
Right.
it would have been a different story. But he did not want to tell because he would have thought that he will get sad.
Yeah.
Thirdly, getting people to work on at home office work, trying to get them to do, is also a kind of a situation that can create this kind of a security problem. And fourthly, when the customer started complaining, they denied it, right? They
Right.
denied
Yeah.
it. So all those are problems that can happen in a business. So this I think they will rephrase that question. I'm trying to look at that question. I'm sure they're going to rephrase that question for this case.
Yeah.
Finally, what I realized here they have given about the who is rising and who is plummeting back to earth. So they are talking about 10 bankable stars, right?
Okay.
And they say if you want to look at the 100, and they are gone to, firstly we looked at box office results both here in Beeline and internationally. So remember I told you that the revenue comes 40% locally, 60% international for average film. We looked at the
Yeah.
average box office takings of all the actors' work over the last 5 years and applied a penalty percentage if they are not appeared anything for the last year. We only counted starring or major roles and public opinion. We showed members of the film ongoing photos of actors. If the actors was not identified correctly, a penalty percent was just applied. Social media, we looked at number of mentions. So these are the way that they measure the success. Public opinion, they show the photograph and ask, do you know? So if a star is famous, everyone will know, right?
Right.
Otherwise, they won't. Then social media, they have the likes and the comments. Then also they go and look at the expert waves and also the Oscars and the whatever the National Film Awards. So after that, they have come to a conclusion with 10 top stars.
Right.
At the
Yeah.
number 10 spot, we have this man, um, dramas, comedies. Christmas would be without one of his cheesy feel-good films. Always plays a cheerful kind of a role and has a insider teller that in reality is sharp as a tech and building up an impressive multi-million-dollar property empire on the back of his box office. So he must be a very, very successful person.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Then we have this Harsh who was not even in the last 50 last year, but at number 9 this year. So a
Right.
kind of a person who has really emerged during the year. So these are the people the film industry will be looking now, who was not even in the 50, but in the number 9 position. Last year also the other man was number 10, right?
Yeah.
He has not improved, he has not gone down, he is at number 10. The number 9 man is now coming. Now his problems are producing, having some cool friends to co-star with him didn't hurt either, but he shows signs of being a serious new talent and definitely one to watch. So he is surely a man. If you are thinking of hiring a person for a particular role, he may be one of the number one targets.
Right.
Then we have this number 8. He was last year number 2. He has dropped to number 8 this year.
Okay. Right.
Definitely moving in the wrong direction. He was our last year number 2. No box office failure this year, although Otter was a little disappointing, but his fall from grace has been caused by a massive drop in likability factor after those revelations about his many relationships. Now, this is exactly what I was
Yeah.
telling about. So,
Right.
if the producer is thinking of bringing Stan into one of the key roles, you board of directors must be having a second thought because his relationship with the co-stars, makeup artist and all that kind of a thing is creating some issue.
Right.
His wife was one of the best loved pop princess of all the time, so this was bound to affect. So wife is also probably a very key person, and suddenly this kind of a scenario is not going to do. So it's nothing to do with his acting. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with his acting. It's no box office failures. It is basically his personal life behavior with the other actors and the other people that is creating the problem. Then
Right.
we have the number 7, a fairly old person, wrinkled face himself. Uh, he is in his 60s, fairly a good one. He can make money to us, all that kind of a thing. Some serious theatre cinema, we hear that he insists on having his artistic viewpoint considered by the director, but he's always a perfect gentleman. So he has a certain demand. So if you are in, so I'm sure all these things are given because they might tell that we want to employ Gina or Gino and what kind of contract we should be signing with him.
Right.
Then we have number 6, lady, Missy, and only female to make it to the top 10. So you can see she will be a very, very uh, key attraction because only female in the top 10, right?
Right.
It appears that female stars still don't have quite box office impact of their male colleague. Had a massive success this year with Thunder London, winning Oscar, impressing and rising a well-deserved 3 places up our ranking. So number 9 to 6 she has come up. So she's a upcoming star, rising star.
Right. Yeah.
Then we have number 5. Uh, Moonstorm series. Rumors has that he intends to quit this year after finishing the Moonstorm 10 and try his luck behind the camera. Since he has fallen 2 places this year, this may be a good call. Has been good, but well lost its innovation, and so he's on the downward trend. Right?
Okay.
He's on the downward trend, and he may be wanting to retire and to get out of it. Then we have the number 4. He has only appeared in TV programs for the last 18 months with no cinema output at all. As budgets for big TV project rise, will other stars to join him or his success a unique product of his massive acting talent? Uh, Once again, our readers' choice for star they would like to meet in a bar. So showing
Right.
it can be done from the big screen, showing it can be done away from the rising 2 places. So she is more of a TV star.
Right.
Then we have number 3, who doesn't just make films, he stars in his own chat show, writes scripts, so he's a public body. Reportedly not popular with co-stars and film crews, but famous for his impressively professional attitude. So he must be a bit of a difficult one to get along for the other co-stars and the crews.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's at the top level, but apparently has had a holiday for 3 years. Don't burn yourself out, Daddy. Right? So he may need a holiday. Then we have number 2, everyone's mom's favorite, Lee. Lee made the tricky transition from child performer to a serious adult actor. He's only 23 years
Mm-hmm.
and he has risen to number 2 on our chart. It's a great achievement. He's a stellar career, making the top spot in a few years' time. Rumors that he was frequently late and less than sober on set during are causing industry insiders concern. So you can see everyone has his pluses, everyone has his minuses, right? He must
Yeah.
be, he must be coming after alcohol or whatever it is. So he's not sober, but a young man. Then we have the
Mm-hmm.
number 1. For the third year in running, Tony Adams is the number 1 with the most
Okay.
recognized faceable in and a thoroughly professional reputation. We can't say Tony be knocked off the top spot at any time soon. So he must be surely undisputed number 1. And the best news is he has agreed to an interview in the next month's edition of Hi There and to let us tackle exclusive photos of him and his lovely family on board in his New York, something for all us to look forward to. Right? So I'm
Yeah.
sure we will have something to do with Tony Adams. So these are our top 10 film stars.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, they are just talking about Runaway, that is Justin Fletcher, you will remember is the number 10, and
Mm-hmm.
opened in cinema this week to an interested response. The first weekend's box office takes-in came to more than 8 million. A spokesman for Mentin Studios who produced the film commented that they were very surprised because comedy films such as Runaway rarely attract such a huge initial interest. Most of the major cinema
Okay.
operators have already extended their runs for this film and there are rumors that a sequel Runaway 2 is under discussion. I see a
Yeah.
question from the last page. I see they are going to produce the Runaway 2 and Justin Fletcher is the key person, right? And Justin Fletcher might ask for a big fee now. He knows it's a
Right.
success because they never thought it will be such a success. They were surprised with the success of a comedy. So Justin
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher is going to ask a big sum and some other man, one of those out of the 10, might ask a lesser amount and you might have to decide between taking Justin Fletcher or taking a man at a lesser fee.
Right.
I can see that question coming up because surely why they are given this one full page on the last page of the pre-scene, because generally what happens is we don't read the last page of the pre-scene. We are so full up with the 26 pages, but I see the 26 page bringing a question soon.
Okay.
Right. So we have to decide now if there is a question like that, we have to decide the success of the film Is it attributable to the Justin Fletcher, or is it attributable to the production or direction?
Okay.
If it is attributable to Justin Fletcher, then of course
Mm-hmm.
we have no alternate but to have Justin Fletcher in the film again, because they are going to do the Runaway too, right? So they must
Yep.
get Justin Fletcher even at a high price. But if we take
Mm-hmm.
him at a high price, we must keep, I think, you remember target costing? The film industry, I think, will have to go by the target costing, because your revenue
Mm-hmm.
is somewhat, there's a amount that you can get. You can extend it by 2 weeks, whatever, and that's all. But
Mm-hmm.
the profit will depend on how much you have been able to manage your cost. So target
Yeah.
costing, I think, is used very effectively in the film industry, because you have to manage your costs. You have to look at the cost structure and see what are the costs, what we can slice it down without having a compromise in the film. So it all depends what is a success. Whether if the actor is the key success factor, then we can't drop it,
Right.
right? On the other hand, maybe Runaway One was Runaway, which was successful not because of Justin Fletcher, but it was successful because of the special effects, or it may be
Mm-hmm.
because of the script. In that
Right.
case, we have to, so now, we must not come to a conclusion just because he has told Justin Fletcher's latest flame. We must not come to a conclusion that Justin Fletcher is the ultimate end of the whole thing.
Right.
So you have to read the question carefully and decide what we have to look at. So now I think we have ended up the pre-scene completely.
Yeah.
Now we have ended up the pre-scene completely. So I have already sent you the first part of the 45 minutes mark. Did you manage to
Mm-hmm.
get into that one and see anything, Veena?
I read it, but
Okay.
come on. I just don't know how do I begin writing the answers? Like how?
Okay.
I mean, what should be the structure of the answers?
Okay. Yeah. Basically now, just to get into that one,
Right.
give me a minute. You remember here that basically this was all about a film
Mm-hmm.
that was in that five the
Yeah.
line.
Dinosaur crash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dinosaur crash tree, right? So basically what they were looking was uh, uh, do the film. Already they are committed to screen it by May 2017. But you remember in that pre-scene they said 80 million was on the special effects, and they were dependent very much on the special effects.
Right.
Right, in that pre-scene they say this particular film, they are depending on the pre-scene, the special effect. So what we have to see is if the special effects are not coming to the right quality, right
Mm-hmm.
standard, if we try to
Mm-hmm.
just to meet the deadline and go and show the film or put out the film out, when we are not satisfied with the special effects, it can cause a big problem.
Right.
So the question actually what they were asking is the other way about. The question what they were asking is what happens, what are the risks if we go and put the film on the schedule.
Okay.
So there are two things what is asked. I need a report on the significant resources proceeding with the launch on the scheduled date. So
Okay.
we know the special effects are bad, but these people who did the special effect, the Jonathans, they say they can redo the thing and still be ready for the launch. But our
Okay.
Anton Chan believes it is very optimistic. Now the film that
Okay.
was started in 2 years back, right? It has taken such a long period, and if the things have not happened for such a long period, and in February 2017, for you to assume that everything will be done within next 1 or 2 months, is something which is somewhat unrealistic.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to now, as the management accountant, one thing as a very senior person in the organization, one thing, you will be very, very disappointed with the present situation. Because you are in a chicken and egg situation. You have to show the film. Because already so the film is, about to be screened, and it's your very first 4D film.
Right.
So people are waiting in anticipation. The first two films of the series not 4D, but the people have been quite happy, but got big box office hits. But the third film in anticipation, and suddenly when it comes, and if it is not too noisy and something, it is like a desert or whatever it may be. If that happens, yeah, the people will get really, will not watch the film anymore. And as I
Yeah.
said, the film, this is the first impression. The first people who goes and watch the film will come and say, oh, that's a fantastic film, you must watch, or they will say it's a horrible thing, don't go. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So the risk is simply that you have a reputational risk arising, you have a big financial risk arising. You may not be able to find any actors and actresses to act in your films later on.
Right.
So there will be, so like that, you have to just, what you have to do is you have to put it in bullet points. Now you have to
Okay.
understand 2 years they have done this thing, right? And now after 2 years, the people to whom they outsource, suddenly they say in 2 months time we can do all the redesigning. And
Right.
our own distribution director says that it is optimistic. So you have to think in common sense. Now you have two options. One is to go ahead, do whatever the redesign and put the film on the schedule. Other one,
Okay.
take the film away from the schedule and redo it and come later with a
Okay.
better thing. So the question is, if we try to do it today and to do according to the schedule, what are the risks? So list down the
Okay.
risk. List down the risk. We will discuss this one next time when we meet. But list down the risk, and then we will try to. I'm putting up answer for this one. So we will discuss this one and see how we are going to work it through this one.
Okay. No. Okay. No problem. Yeah.
Then the other one is about the project, because there is all films are a project. So where did we go wrong? So because we have to see, because we have been waiting for 2 years, and suddenly when the film is just about to be screened, we are coming and saying the special effects are not good.
Yeah.
That should have been done much earlier. So this is what we should be looking. So we will look at some of these things. So how is your calendar next week, Veena?
I'm fine for the same time, like Sundays or Saturdays, whatever time suits you.
We'll make it Saturday, because next Sunday is Christmas.
Oh yeah, next Sunday's Christmas, yeah. Right.
Saturday should be all right. Give me a minute.
Like what time Saturday?
Saturday. Same time, Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning?
10 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, it's fine, no problem.
Yeah, shall we make it Saturday, 24, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, 24, 10 o'clock in the morning is fine.
Okay, right. So I'll keep it that for you. And I'm doing some other mocks also. We will now we are done the pre-scene. We will go move into the mocks now, straight away.
Okay, okay.
So I'll say on Saturday, 24, 10 o'clock.
Right, no problem. Okay, bro.
Okay, have a great week, Veena. Thank you.
You
Take
too.
care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.